Welcome to this mindfulness meditation designed for building the character strength of prudence. And so, before we begin, let us just find ourselves a comfortable position to sit in, making sure that we are seated with ease, but at the same time in a position where we can be attentive. And once you feel more settled in the body, you may gently start to close your eyes or lower your gaze. As we now move to helping us settle in the mind. And for that, let us just take 3 deep, mindful breaths through the nostrils. So, taking this deep inhale, filling up your lungs as best as you can. And then a gentle, gradual exhale, letting go of any thoughts or any feelings that you were fixated on. And doing this a few more times on your own, taking deep inhale and gentle exhales. And now when you feel a little more settled, gradually returning to the natural rhythm of the breath. So just noticing every single breath that comes in and every single breath that goes out. And as we begin practicing the character strength of prudence, there's a short story that I want you to bring your mindful awareness towards. Too often, when we want to help somebody or change something in people for their own sake, we may become a little careless with the choice of our words or the way we say it, which often closes the door towards having that transformation realized. I remember for my dad, who I really wanted to start into mindfulness meditation, I remember approaching the whole topic by telling him to be more mindfully aware, just because there is that whole staying in the right here and right now aspect, that whole spiritual connect by being in the present moment, and also telling him about the benefits of being able to regulate ourselves as we keep our mind where we want to keep it. Unfortunately, however, those were not the values or the strengths that he really believes in. And so, for a long time, the mindfulness practices didn't materialize in his case, unless a reframing happened towards convincing him about it. And for that, the next time, I specifically pointed to the attributes of perseverance, which is just taking 10 minutes for a month as if it's a target that you have to achieve. And also the sense of honesty that he would want to bring to whatever he perseveres towards. And given this combination of perseverance and honesty, he did start to the practice. and he did continue the practices post that. Again, was because of this understanding where I was earlier careless. The next time the conversation was approached with a lot more care and choice of words, specifically to point to the attributes that I know that he values. And so, with that story now, just bringing to mind somebody in your life who you want to change something about, who you want that in some ways should be helped for their own sake. It could be about a new habit that you would want them to inculcate for their own well being, or your want for them to let go of an old habit which is not serving them. It could also be about any thought or negativity that surrounds them and their inability to let go of it. Or it could be a positivity that you want to bring to their life which they currently don't have. So just think of this person and the context that you want to change for their own sake. And let's now be a little careful in understanding how to approach this whole communication with them to help them inculcate and change. So, for that, let us just begin by spotting what are the core strengths that this person that you have in mind has. Bringing to mind the core values that they may be encompassing in their day to day life, something that easily convinces them or is exhibited by them. Now, they could be values of courage, for instance, bravery, honesty. They could be values of humanity, like love and kindness and empathy. Or they could be values of working in a group harmoniously, like fairness or leadership. They could even be values that involve their sense of self regulation or forgiveness. Just spotting what values do they really embody or what values come to them naturally. And they could even be values of gratitude or hope or humor or spirituality. Just the strength of believing in these aspects. And finally, they could also be strengths that are about a sense of curiosity or creativity. So, in your mind, carefully bringing to mind this person and his different behaviors, and just noticing what are the values of the ones I've listed or something else that this person brings to life every day, and irrespective of their weaknesses, the strengths that are in them. And now, knowing to some extent what their values are, recognizing that people respond when you make opinions or points in line with the values they believe in. And so, given that understanding, just mentally thinking of the ways in which you can motivate them towards the change you want for them. So, knowing their values, how is it best that you can frame the communication or convince them so that they can undergo and get into the change that you want for them? And even if remembering the values are difficult, maybe just remembering circumstances in which they have positively responded to a change and seeing in your mind what are those choices that you can carefully make to help them progress one step towards the change you want for them. And now, even if you've not been able to cement the communication or finalize it, just knowing that even having this broader idea will help you approach this situation with greater prudence. Will help you make the choices of words and actions more carefully. And as you do reflect on these thoughts, just remembering that this aspect or character strength of prudence is something that can help you be more mindful of what you say and what you do, and bring in the capacity to be more in line with whatever your objectives are. And as we then move on to taking a step back from these thoughts and emotions now, just recognizing that you can keep coming back to this practice whenever you want to build this character strength of prudence in your life, to help you make more careful choices in everyday activities. So, letting go of the thoughts and emotions of the situation we were discussing, and gently now bringing yourself back to being aware of only the breath for the next minute or so. Gently settling back in, returning to your normal, natural state. As you notice the breath go in and the breath go out. In a few moments now, a bell will ring, indicating the end of this practice, at which point you can gently open your eyes and come back.